Hello, I'm Victoria and I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm going to talk to you today about step 3 of Parent Powers. This is all about thinking about your skills, and I'm going to talk to you today about the skills relating to the self. 3 basic skills that you can start implementing straight away. In the Parent Powers course, the skills that you need to pass on to your child and the knowledge are divided into 4 categories. There's one category which is all about skills relating to the self. There's a second category which is all about the skills that relate to others. There's a third category which is skills for surviving and mostly actually thriving in this life. And the fourth one is higher skills. So today I'm focusing on the very first one, which is skills relating to the self. If you don't have those skills, it's very hard to pass them on to your child. So you need to make sure that you have the skills yourself. So the first one I'm going to talk about is an understanding of how to look after your body. This might sound quite simple, but actually looking after our bodies is pretty hard, and especially with all the information that's coming at us, things about what we should or shouldn't eat, how much we should exercise, how much we should drink, how much alcohol we can have, whether, things are bad like salt or other things, actually can be really difficult to make sense of all of those things. So I think it is really important to think about whether you're thinking about food especially and exercise is influenced by all the information that's coming in, and whether it's actually based on information that it should be based on that's trustworthy, because a lot of the information that's out there really isn't trustworthy at all. And I think it is very, very important that you assess that and you decide whether this is information and skill that you'd like to pass on to your child. In my practice, I see a lot of parents, especially with concerns about their own body weight, really misunderstand some of the nutritional advice, or perhaps going for nutritional advice that's really not very healthy, and then passing that on to their children and making sure that they follow diets that are really actually very inappropriate for children and are possibly even dangerous for adults. So it is really important that you are well informed about those things, because actually understanding them and passing them on to your child are really vital skills, because your child, even if they're little, they're probably going to be asking about healthy foods, and it's important that you don't become too obsessed with those things, that you have a healthy understanding of how to look after your body, that you're neither not bothered about it at all and you're not on the other end of the spectrum where you are really obsessively eating protein only and no carbs and exercising lots and lots. Those extremes are really unhealthy. There needs to be a golden middle, and you need to find what works for you. So be very open with yourself about where your own skills are in understanding that and having evidence-based understanding of those things. The second skill I'm going to talk about is looking after your mind. And again, this is a separate thing from your body. Obviously, having a healthy body, eating well, and those things do affect your mind. But there's other things that are quite important for looking after your mind. Things like having negative thoughts, perhaps catching them and moving on from them, and or perpetuating them. Some people keep on having negative thoughts and they voice them and they talk about them a lot, and those just keep going and going and going. So really having a think about how much you do that, thinking about how your own mental health is, and whether you're really someone who just happens to speak negatively a lot, and whether you'd like to do that, because actually if you do that, your child is probably going to end up doing that. So it's important to just have a think about how you look after your mental health, about how you think about your own thought patterns, about whether you're happy with those thought patterns and whether they're the thought patterns you'd like to pass on to your child. Because if they're not, then you need to think about how you can change them, about what steps you need to take in order to have the thought patterns that you want your child to have. So that is a very important part of how you look after yourself. And the last thing, kind of relating to the mental health, is boundaries. Understanding your own boundaries, understanding what you are and aren't responsible for. Again, a very important skill to have. Lots and lots of people I meet, and parents often feel very guilty and they feel like everything's their fault, or they really do take a lot of responsibility for things that really aren't up to them. So it's important that you are honest with what is your responsibility and what isn't, and the things that you can can just let go of that do happen, but it's not because of something you have done. So it's important that you model that to your child. Have a think about whether you are good knowing where your boundaries are, whether you're good at keeping things away from you that are not your responsibility, and whether you're good at actually accepting responsibility for the things that are your responsibility. Think about where you are with that, and think about whether it's where you want to be, because if it isn't, again, you need to do some work around getting better at having appropriate boundaries, so you can model that to your child and pass that skill on to them, stand them in very good stead in a world where things are going to be coming at them all the time. It's going to be quite difficult, so it's really good to have boundaries that you understand. So I'd really love to know which one of those you think you need to work on, if any. Perhaps you feel you got them all three of them sorted, or perhaps you feel that the body or the mind or setting boundaries is something you need to work on. Please comment below, let me know which one of those is going to be.